Hi folks, I have this electric shaver. It's a Philips and it's battery operated, rechargeable. Now listen to it. You can hear that? It does not spin very fast, so it takes an extremely long time to shave. So I'm very unsatisfied with the RPMs it has, and that's fully charged. I'm very unsatisfied with the RPMs it has. It was on sale half price. I believe it was regular $70, and I paid $35 for it. So I'm going to make a modification, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to step up the RPMs, and I'm going to show everybody how I've done that. Now you're going to see the video, pause, and I'm going to come back, pause, and I'm going to come back, pause, and I'm going to come back. And the reason for that is that I'm not going to entirely film the whole process. I'm going to show you in steps. I'll fill you in what I'm doing as I'm doing it, and you'll see the different steps of involvements, and that's one of the reasons why you're going to see the video come and go, basically. Instead of me telling everybody I'll be back with you, I'm just going to stop the process and continue on. So first off, have to remove all screws holding these two half cases together. And from what I can see now, there's a screw here which was hidden by the lever here, undetectable until the lever was lifted up. Screw here, and a screw here. Screws are removed, shaver head removing. The two halves are about to be separated. Now the front section is kind of tucked in, so you have to lift up the back section and basically kind of pop it out. Now from what I can see here, there's one NiCad battery. So this little thing here is working off of 1.2 volts. That's what NiCad batteries are, 1.2 volts. And I'm going to replace this 1.2 volt with a little bit larger battery. 1.2 volts is just not enough. It should be at least, I'm going to actually try out 3 volts. So I'm going to basically double the battery. Now I might have to not have the battery part of the unit and charge the battery separate, but that's okay, because the way it's set up, I just can't remove the battery and plug the cord in and operate it. It doesn't work that way. The cord is solely for charging the battery. So by removing the battery and hoping that I can go off the power cord, well, it's not going to work that way. And if I don't do it the way I'm going to do it, it's virtually no good. And it was just a waste of $35 plus tax, of course. So probably close to 40 without doing the math and adding the taxes up. And I'm just not willing to throw it away. So I'm going to make some modifications to it. So as I proceed, you'll see what happens. Okay, I'm going to start it up, run it, and test at the motor how many volts are at the motor that are supplying the motor with the current. Okay, you can hear it running. 1.25 volts. Not nearly enough. Needs to be increased. Twice the voltage will be twice the speed that you're hearing now. And that's what I'm looking for. Twice that RPM. It'll be twice as noisy, but that's okay. It's going to work and cut my whiskers that much better. And it's going to cut my whiskers twice as fast. Okay, well, I've decided to basically eliminate this circuit board completely. And I'm going to use the original switch, which is this little wee switch right here, just so the switch will stay working. That's on the shaver itself. I won't have to worry about putting another switch on there that's going to look foreign. So I'm going to actually use the switch that's on here, if everything goes well, that is. And as far as the rest of the circuitry you see here, it will be eliminated. It will be not in need, and it will not be used. Even though it's going to be there, it's just not going to be used. And I have this cell holder. It holds a lithium cell. Actually, it's 3.7 volts, so it's quite a bit larger than a 1.2 volt NiCad cell. But I'm using a large line, small line, and through this large line I'm going to have some voltage loss. So I'm basically going to double the voltage, and that's about what I'm going to do. And that was my original hope to do, and that's what was going to end up happening, is I'll be doubling the voltage, which is going to give me double the RPM, which is going to give me double the shave time. The finishing rate, that is. So I need to get this battery holder here. I need to extend some wires outside of the case. It normally had this little wee adapter that would plug into right here, but I don't have the actual little adapter that plugs into that, so I'm going to bypass that, and I'm just going to directly solder some wires onto the negative and the positive contacts and expand my wire outside that hole right there, which will be this wire right here. A little bit of soldering ahead of myself. Okay, got everything soldered in place. Got the wire there, and there's a little battery down here. Try to switch and listen to it. See how much the improvement of the RPMs are. That sounds a little more normal now, like a regular shaver should be. Okay, I'm going to assemble this, put it all back together, and try it out, see how it works. Oh, first, you can see how the circuit board here, I made a hole. Like I mentioned, I wasn't going to use the circuit board at all. So you can see right there beside the switch, I drilled a hole through it, and I brought the wire from the top side, and this wire here, I bent it around so it can go on the top side again, because the circuit board here goes upside down so it can fit inside there, and I didn't want the wires or anything to be in the way. I wanted to have lots of room, and I removed the back little charging system there. I'll be back with you. Okay, all back together. Sounds much better than it did. Listen to the RPMs now. That sounds normal. Yeah, I have a little small cord on it. I'll put some caulking inside of that hole there, keep the cord nice and tight. That sounds really, really nice. Okay, I'm going to go try it out, and I'll come back and tell you the result. Well, I must say I'm very impressed. My face is extremely smooth, and it did not take long. Oh, hang on, I just dropped the battery holder in the battery. got a bad connection in the holder here I'll have to fix, but you get the idea. It worked really, really good. Well, that's a poor moment. No, it won't even come back on, but its problem's right here. It's this holder here. It's a real cheap holder. The spring on it's really, really cheap. Well, I won't even tell you where I got this little thing here, but that spring, I'm not too sure what kind of spring metal they use for the spring here, but wow, is it getting de-shaped and deformed. So I'll deal with that. If I have to, I'll put a better end on it, one of these. But just the same, it worked really, really good. And I doubled the voltage, doubled the RPMs, and does it ever shave good? There it is. And that's this battery thing here. That's okay. I'll deal with that later. But anyway, worked really, really good. It was no good. 1.2 volts just was not spinning these little heads quick enough. Wasn't even cutting all that great. Now they're spinning twice as fast, and it's cutting very good. Here's the hair to prove it. There's my whiskers. And nothing got warm. The little motor inside never had any heat to it or warmth to it at all. So the increased RPMs is not appearing to affect the motor. Now if I need to, I'll put some inline resistors in the cord itself, but I don't think I'm going to have to. I think it's going to work out just fine once I get this end dealt with. Well, that's okay. See that spring? It's just all messed up. Cheap metal or something for a spring, I guess. That's okay. I'll deal with that. Not a big problem. Well, thank you for watching. And what a good idea. If anybody ever picks one of these up and the RPMs just seems to be slow, what a good idea. There's just these cutting blades, folks. They're about as much as I paid for the whole unit. So, not a bad deal. I mean, if I use it only as long as the cutting blades hold up, it's not much different than replacing the cutting blades. But the cutting blades, you can actually sharpen them up and make them go a whole lot further than they normally do. It's got a cord on it. No different than having a power cord to it. It's not exactly cordless, but that's okay.